everyone, and you are listening to Deep Talk on KCMO Talk Radio 710. I'm your host, Vasavi Kumar, and I'm hoping that all of you are having a peaceful and happy day. Today's Sunday, and my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law are visiting my husband and I from New York, and I absolutely love my mother-in-law. She's extremely traditional, religious, very conservative in her views, and I used to have a problem with that. I'm not going to lie. But after spending these past few days with her, I have grown to admire her even more. She has just been really helping me realize a lot of things about myself and just about my relationship to my higher source and to God. And because of her, I've been, getting up every morning, 7:30 in the morning, showering and praying first thing in the morning. And I have to tell you, the kind of oneness that I feel right now. And I can say that on a daily basis, I pretty much feel like one person. I don't really suffer from many conflicts, but in my mind. But since I've been starting my day this way, just really connecting with my higher source, 10 minutes every day, just asking for his blessings and giving gratitude for all that I have, it has been like a whole nother level of peace. And I just wanted to share all of that with you and ask you, how could you start your day in a way that really has you connect to yourself and to really ground yourself in a foundation of peace and gratitude so you could move powerfully in your life. I feel awesome, I have to tell you. And I'm so laid back that my producer just said, hey, you have to stay to your mic, because I'm hanging out in my chair feeling kind of loose right now because I'm so peaceful. But yeah. So I hope all of you are having a good day. And if you remember last week, we spoke to Sam Silverstein and Coach Mike Rutherford about no more excuses in your life. And if you missed the show, you can check out the podcast on the KCMO website at 710kcmo.com. You could also go to my website at vasavikumar.com and click on the media tab, and you'll find it under Vasavi on the radio. So after listening again to last week's show, I got to thinking about where in my life do I make excuses? Where in my life am I letting myself off the hook? And I realized that every so often, my inner mean girl comes out. We all have that inner mean girl or boy. It's that voice that judges us, the voice that criticizes us or makes us wrong. Now, after really doing a lot of this transformational work with myself and with my clients, I've really come to learn that inner mean girl, let's just call it the inner meanie so it's gender neutral, that inner meanie inside of us just wants acceptance and love, like the rest of us. So the one thing I want to invite you to practice is to ask your inner meanie, that voice inside of you that criticizes you and nags you, just ask that inner meanie, hey, what is it that you need from me? That inner meanie is kind of like that naggy kid that won't stop bugging you. I was the naggy kid. I'll totally own it. But if you took the time to just kneel down to your inner meanie and just ask him or her, what is it that you need from me? I can guarantee you that she would melt, because all she or he needs is just to be told that she's okay. That's that voice that criticizes us and judges us. It's almost as if you're giving permission to be kind. You don't have to be unkind to yourself anymore, because now you've learned to embrace that inner judge inside of you. So your inner mean girl or your inner mean boy is like merely your mindset that drives you every day. It's what stops you in life, and it's also what pushes you in life to be better. It's a matter of what you focus on, though. For the majority of my life, I always focused on what I was doing wrong. So I was always overcompensating by trying to be better, do better, say more, just be the smartest person in the room, because my inner mean girl was constantly criticizing me. I can honestly say now that I've really learned to just be who I am and not focus so much on being more, rather just loving myself as I am in that moment. So if you focus on practicing love and compassion, that's exactly what you're going to attract. It's that simple law of attraction that we talk about pretty much throughout all the shows that we have. And it's time to make that shift in your mindset and your strategy so that you can move forward, because what are you waiting for? So give me a call at 913-951-1764, or you can visit my website at www.vasavikumar.com to set up your 30-minute coaching session. So today I'm psyched because I get to talk to the first coach that I ever had. When I first went into coaching, first thing I did was hire a coach. And his name is Gregg Demammos. And when I was in my coach's training program with Accomplishment Coaching, I was matched up with Gregg to be my coach. And the rich conversation that Gregg and I used to have on our weekly coaching sessions truly set me up for a major foundation, truly set me up with the major foundation for the transformation that I've gone through and that I went through during my training program. So we're going to be talking about a topic that Gregg is very passionate about, so much so that this is what he coaches people on for a living, and that is relationships. But today, it's a very specific topic within the area of relationships. We're going to be talking about getting your needs met or mastering your needs in your relationship. I can say from personal experience that it hasn't always been easy for me to say what I want or need in my relationship because I often feared not getting it or getting rejected or turned down. And I'm sure many of you can relate to that. So we're going to be talking about how to get your needs met with my guest, Gregg Demammos. So stay tuned to Deep Talk on KCMO Talk Radio 710. Be right back.
KCMO Talk Radio 710 with Sean Hannity. Cutting through the liberal bias and giving you the information you need.
The rhetoric is over the top. No lectures from Barack Obama. No, that's right. He was the one out there saying that Republicans want kids with autism and Down syndrome to fend for themselves and old people to fend for themselves. But you know what? Not a peep out of your liberal media.
Sean Hannity, weekdays from 2 till 5 on KCMO Talk Radio 710.
You own or operate a business. You know you need to advertise, but you have questions. You aren't sure where to turn. There's a free resource that can help. CumulusRadio.com. CumulusRadio.com has the answers that will help you decide where to advertise, what to say, and how to say it. This free resource has helped thousands of business owners and operators make the right choices, and it can help you find your answers too. CumulusRadio.com. You know your business. We know marketing. CumulusRadio.com.
Today we're asking people to name their one favorite meal for one from Stouffer's.
One favorite? Stouffer's lasagna. But how about the barbecue chicken?
Grilled white meat chicken coated with a sweet and tangy sauce with a side of cheesy potatoes topped with crisp bacon.
Yes.
So that's your one Stouffer's favorite.
Oh, but I also like Stouffer's meatloaf.
Classic meatloaf with a rich tomato glaze, smothered in a savory gravy with a tasty side of... Hey, where are you going?
You kidding? The store.
Stock up on all your favorite Stouffer's meals for one today.
Thank you for calling Bank. Our banking hours are Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m.
You have reached Bank. Please call back during our normal business hours.
Welcome to Our hours are Monday through Friday.
It is after 5 p.m. We are closed.
Hi, thanks for calling Ally Bank. How may I help you?
If your bank doesn't have a real person available 24/7, you need an ally. Ally Bank. No nonsense, just people sense. Member FDIC.
This is my parents' Mercedes M-Class, but it won't always be, if you know what I mean.
When you own a certified pre-owned Mercedes-Benz, chances are they'll own it one day too. Because a certified pre-owned Mercedes-Benz is 100% through and through a Mercedes-Benz. And right now, during our certified pre-owned sales event, you can get exceptional 1.99% financing on select models. Every one of our certified pre-owned vehicles undergoes a rigorous inspection by factory-trained technicians to ensure it meets the uncompromising standards of Mercedes-Benz. And considering we invented the automobile, those standards are indeed high. Plus, a warranty and roadside assistance for up to 5 years and 100,000 total miles. And now, with 3 months of Sirius satellite radio.
I can't wait to drive this.
Hurry into the Mercedes-Benz Certified Pre-Owned Sales event, now through April 30th. And remember, if it's not at your authorized Mercedes-Benz dealer, it's not certified pre-owned.
See dealer or call 1-800-F4-Mercedes for complete program, including certified pre-owned, limited warranty, and Sirius satellite radio details and limitations. Not all customers are qualified for advertised APR and are subject to prior credit approval.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There's a tremendous price war among the major term life companies, and rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example, for a man age 45 non-tobacco user, it's $1 million of coverage and $75 per month level rate for the next 10 years. Or a man age 50 non-tobacco user can obtain $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of only $110 per month, guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. That's right, level rate guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. If you're a smoker, we have great rates available for you you as well. At Term Busters, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. If you're looking for new or replacement term life insurance, call today for a quote at 1-800-862-8376. That's 1-800-862-8376. You're probably paying more than you should. Call Term Busters at 1-800-862-8376 or visit our website at termbusters.net. Remember 1-800-862-8376. Rates and availability may vary by state. Sample rate quotes based on preferred non-tobacco underwriting. Exam required to qualify.
Grandpa!
Hey, there he is. Come on up here and sit on the porch with me.
I love staying here. How long have you lived here?
A long time. You know, your mother grew up here.
I'm gonna have a house like this when I grow up.
I hope so, buddy. I hope so.
For the first time in generations, the dream of home ownership is being threatened. Realtors, members of the National Association of Realtors, are here to represent you and protect home ownership. Visit houselogic.com/home ownership to learn more.
Dave Ramsey.
It's not worth fooling with. Can't buy a Happy Meal with this discussion.
Tune in to Dave Ramsey, weekdays from 11 till 2 on KCMO Talk Radio 710.
We are back, and you're listening to Deep Talk on KCMO Talk Radio 710, and I'm your host, Vasavi. And we're talking today about getting your needs met in your relationship. So I'm very excited because I'm here with the first coach that I ever worked with, Gregg Demammos. He's the founder and owner at Relationship Circle. He's also the co-founder at 21st Century Man. And if you want to check out more about 21st Century Man and the work that they do with couples and individuals working on their relationships, check them out at www.21cman.com. So I'm so grateful to have him on the show. Thank you so much, Gregg, for being here.
Thank you. Thanks, Vasavi. I'm really excited to be here.
So tell us, Gregg, why relationships? Most male coaches, without making too much of a stereotype or generalization here, they focus on marketing, sales, business, finances. Why relationships? How come you chose to work with people around their relationships?
Well, Vasavi, I just wanted to mention something that you spoke about in your open, and then I'll get right back to the question. When you were talking about your inner meanie, I remembered our coaching sessions together, and that was one of the most adorable parts of working with you. Like, your inner meanie reminded me so much of my own, and it was a lot of fun to hear you talk about that. And I think that, that's one thing that as coaches we need to do, is to be able to bring some lightness and humor to the inner meanie. And once we do that, then our clients can kind of open up to it a little bit and have some space. So it was just a pleasure to hear you talk about it.
Thanks, Gregg.
Absolutely. So relationships. Well, my parents' relationship made a huge impression on me when I was young. I say that my parents loved hard and they fought hard. And so I was in the middle of the pattern of coming back together and pulling apart a lot as a young child, and it made a strong impression on me, and I was one of those kids outside the door hearing mommy and daddy fight. And then I was also, in the middle of such extraordinary love. And that pattern really became a big part of my life. They also loved their children the same way. So there were times when I felt ostracized or, that I was someone who just wasn't welcome. And then I would just feel this extraordinary love. And when I was a child, I would look at everything through that lens. I remember when I was a kid and I would watch Three's Company, and there was always a disagreement, or misunderstanding among the main characters, and all I wanted to do was figure out how they could get back together. So I've got a lot of practice at bringing people back together or creating and that's why I love relationship coaching, that extraordinary feeling of bringing people together.
I love that, Gregg, because you take something that's so real to you, like it's not just something that you do, it's something that you've experienced and that you're passionate about. You said, even when watching Three's Company, you wanted to get Cindy and Jack and the other one, I forgot her name, try to get them back together. I love that. Yeah, and Janet. I don't know. They're always switching characters. And I actually was not allowed to watch Three's Company. So I had to hide watching Three's Company. I remember that. So guys, if you want to get deep into transforming your relationships, Gregg has an awesome 8-week coaching package. It's called Master Your Needs. this is for the individual who is struggling with communicating what their needs are, unable to find the solutions to get their needs met. And the goal here is really to implement both the strategy and the mindset to get your needs met. So you can give Gregg a call at 202-505-4521. You could also visit his website at www.21cman.com. So Gregg, what's the number one problem that you see your clients are facing in getting their needs met in their relationship?
Well, after a certain point in a relationship, like in the beginning of a relationship, you're pretty good at getting each other's needs met. It's one of the euphoric parts of being in a new relationship and even in a new marriage. But after a certain point, we hurt each other, sometimes, most of the time by accident. And then the roles start to change a little bit, and it starts to resemble the relationship that we had with kids, with our as kids with our parents, where all of a sudden our needs are something that are based in permission. Will my partner allow me to get my needs met? Do I even bring this conversation up because they may say no to me? So it's this permission thing. All of a sudden, we were individuals, and then we were partners in getting our needs met, and then all of a sudden it starts to become adversarial. Like we make up that our partner is going to keep us from getting our needs met. We lose our power. We take it out of our own realm of responsibility.
So I kind of just drew this diagram. It's almost like when we're starting our relationships, we start as grown adults, and then as we get deeper into the relationship, our inner child comes out.
I would say that that's true. Yeah, it's inevitable, and it's one of the things that I love about relationship because it's a transformation engine. If that inner child and that old conversation from when we were kids comes out, we get a chance to work on that and really grow up on the inside just from our most prized relationships.
Gregg, I remember during our coaching calls, part of your in our conversation, you would ask me, so Vasavi, what do you need? You just like a basic question. What do you need in this moment? And I'd say, I don't need anything. I'd never want to admit that I needed anything. Do you think that that's often the biggest problem that people face is that they're almost kind of too stubborn, or their pride gets in the way of just saying what it is that they need?
Yeah, I take a slightly more gentle approach. Like it's really that we're afraid of being hurt, and we don't think that we're going to get our needs met. And so we make up stories about it. And we have this resiliency too, right? So because we don't believe we're going to get our needs met, we create great resiliency and self-reliance. And meanwhile, this self-reliance is creating our needs as a victim. Now our needs are not getting met. We're, not as sourced. And sometimes that can really show up in health problems and in, being short-tempered and in not having great communication in relationships. But hey, we've gotten very self-reliant. There's always a plus on the other side of it.
So oftentimes we see people blaming their partners, finding fault, and expecting their spouse or partner to know what they're thinking. That's part of how I was talking about the show to other people. How we think that our significant other just should know what it is that we need. What is the cost of that, and what's the ultimate payoff?
Well, the cost of it is that we are often disappointed, and that we continue to set up that we will be disappointed. So, again, the self-reliance is built up even more, and the belief in others being there for us goes down, and that becomes our orientation in life, either to a small degree or to a great degree. I think all of us can see at least a little bit of that in ourselves. The payoff is that we get to keep all of this in place. That our relationship to getting our needs met, our relationship to other people and how loving they will be, how much they will be there for us, it becomes solidified. And the fact that it's solid is predictable. It makes us feel good that it consistently appears the same way, even if the experience itself is disappointing and hurtful. It's that, we've built ourselves up in this way. Like, this is the way that I expect my life to be. And the more that your life is what you expect it to be, the more these defense mechanisms, dig their way in and sort of build themselves up. So it's actually satisfying in terms of consistency. Oh, yes, it's still going the same way. Hooray, even if that same way is miserable.
Yes, and what I hear you saying is that oftentimes when we're kind of in this kind of self-fulfilling prophecy, we're so used to it being this way that it's more comfortable for it to be this way than for it to be any other way.
And that goes into the whole conversation of sort of addictions or, kind of short-term thrills that these disappointments, we have to, find our way out of it somehow. So, we go to our go-tos, our go-to feel-good things, maybe that extra scoop of ice cream or, even getting our needs met in wacky ways where we're not honest about them and forthright. And those things are all temporary and they all come and go, but they're sort of satisfying because they're reliable. We always know that we can get that little thing that we want to make us feel better. So, those get to dig in too. Hooray!
Yeah. So I was reading Choice magazine yesterday, which, as you know, is a magazine for professional coaching. And it said something about how the way someone acts in one area of their relationship, maybe with a boss or a colleague or with a friend, is typically how they act with their significant other. Do you find that to be true?
Well, if the relationship cuts deeply, like if they feel that they're victim in that relationship, then absolutely. There are friendships and there are relationships with authority figures where we're already oriented for them to hurt us, where we feel like, oh, I'm not going to get the promotion, or, that person is, I'm so happy for her, she is doing everything for herself in her life, but I understand she doesn't have time for me, and we're sort of creating ourselves a second fiddle. So there are often, we're going to likely create ourselves a second fiddle, at least in some aspects of our relationship with our significant other, and it'll resemble each other. We'll believe that we're not going to be heard or understood or appreciated in a similar way.
I'm thinking about all that we're talking about. I'm like, this is so deep right now, and okay, guys, and we're on KCMO Talk Radio 710. You're listening to Deep Talk, but I'm really thinking about this. I'm like, this is some heavy-duty stuff right now. No.
I thought that was the name of the show.
No, it is, and it's totally fine that it's deep. But I'm thinking, for a person who's maybe not in the field of personal growth and self-development and just really wants to learn to get their needs met, like they just want to learn how to be able to communicate. Gregg, how do you work with your clients?
Well, the first thing is to create some awareness around our needs. Let's make a list. Let's come up with what are my needs and even come up with areas. There are needs that are physical, there are needs that are spiritual, there are needs that are mental, there are needs that are emotional. And really start to get clear on what your needs are and then kind of rate them. How do I do in these areas? There are some that we'll be great at, and then there'll be some that, maybe rate a 1 if 1 is that we're not getting them met very powerfully. The next thing to do, which is fun, and challenging, is to start challenging our beliefs about our needs. One belief that we have about our needs is that other people won't agree with it. So get your needs met anyway.
Wait, hold on. I want to stop that. You said other people might not agree with it. So listeners, if you're hearing this, just everything that we've ever talked about up until, on all the shows is, that you're responsible for your life and other people's perception or opinion of you is not your problem. Okay, keep going, Gregg. Sorry.
Thanks for bringing that in. Yeah. And the thing that we don't remember is that we are very capable, that whatever happens in terms of getting our needs met, when we're doing it that may upset people, we can clean it up with them. We can have a powerful conversation with them afterwards. And, we don't need to assume that there's going to be even a need for it. Most of the times we're over-functioning in that regard. And just practice going and getting one need met every week, every day, that is currently outside of your comfort zone. You'll be building up your resiliency around getting your needs met. You'll get stronger at it. You'll get more comfortable speaking about it and even share it with people. Let people know, hey, I did this thing, and it'll probably go against what people think of you, and you'll get to relate to yourself in a new way around getting your needs met. Usually you're applauded for getting your needs met.
So, guys, if you want to learn more about Gregg, he has an awesome 8-week coaching package called Mastering Your Needs, and go to his website at www.21cman.com. Give him a call at 202-505-4521. You're listening to Deep Talk on KCMO Talk Radio. When we get back, we're going to talk about how do you even begin by getting your needs met. Stay tuned.
KCMO Morning Show with Gregg Knapp.
Mike, you're on the KCMO Morning Show. Go right ahead.
KCMO, you guys now have the bookends of logic and constitutionalism in the morning and in the evening. It's wonderful, and thank you for that. When the left hears this conversation between you and Levin, the founder created the country that you guys were describing, and yet we're watching the very deterioration of it, short and long term, right before our eyes. What do they think?
Gregg Knapp, weekdays from 5 till 9 on KCMO Talk Radio 710.
Fox News Radio, I'm Liz White. More than 100 tornadoes reported overnight across the plains and Midwest.
You could hear it, you could feel it, and I didn't know. I thought the house was going to go.
He's in Thurman, Iowa. 5 dead in the Woodward, Oklahoma area. Strong storms expected as far east as Michigan today. Battles raging across the Afghan capital. The Taliban launching a series of attacks.
The Afghan forces seem to have reacted very well. Their special forces, their commandos, their snipers have surrounded the buildings in Kabul that the militants took hold of, and they've been fighting them. They're looking now to clear them. But there will be questions about how these militants managed to break through the ring of steel, as it's called, around the Afghan capital. It's a series of checkpoints.
Ben Farmer with the London Daily Telegraph. In Kabul, targets include NATO bases, the parliament, and Western embassies. Fox News, we report, you decide.
Showers and thunderstorms will move out of the area by midday. Expect a mostly cloudy and windy Sunday afternoon with a high in the upper 60s. Clouds will be on the decrease on Sunday night. A cool down in store for us here on Monday with mostly cloudy skies and a high in the low 60s. A few rain showers coming in on Monday night. I'm KCTV5 meteorologist Tom Walks.
Do you want to lose all your money? Well, I've got some bad news for you. The stock market is a rigged game, and it's rigged against you. What Wall Street doesn't want you to know is that there is a way you can protect and grow your wealth. The people using this approach didn't lose a penny when the market crashed in 2000 or 2008, and they won't lose a penny in the next crash. In fact, their money will continue to grow safely year in and year out, even when stocks, real estate, and other investments tumble. A free report detailing this savings program is now available. This free report shows how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and wealth-building power without risking your retirement in the Wall Street casino. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement. It far outperforms any IRA or 401k. To get this free report, visit bankonyourself.com. That's bankonyourself.com. Bankonyourself.com.
Now that it's the new year, isn't it time for the new you? That's right, the new you. The you who resolves to stop overspending and take control of your finances. The you who's ready to get serious about saving for the future by first paying off your debt. After all, those credit card bills aren't going anywhere until you decide to do something about it. But no worries, you are not in this alone. Nonprofit Trinity Debt Management is here to help. Trinity has a proven program that will consolidate your bills into one easy-to-manage monthly payment, drastically reduce your interest, and put an end to late fees and collections calls. You will save thousands and become debt-free for keeps. Hey, it's the new year. Shouldn't you make a resolution to call Trinity? 1-800-936-5348.
Trinity.
1-800-936-5348. Or visit mydebthasmedown.com.
I am the new way to work. I'm the guy who's sitting outside the cafe sipping a latte getting work done while you wonder, what kind of guy gets to work in the sunshine instead of an office? This kind of guy. And just so you know, I do have an office. I just choose not to be chained to it. It's a Regis office in one of the coolest buildings with one of the most prestigious addresses in the city. And here's what makes my Regis office different from yours. I don't have a lease. That means I don't have to spend my cash on stuff like phones and IT guys and paper towels for the bathroom. Instead, I pay one low monthly rate that gives me what the cafe doesn't. Like a gorgeous lobby that makes my clients ooh and ah, and a friendly receptionist who can charm even the grumpiest visitor with her smile. But that's not why I go there. I go there to meet my fellow new way to workers. We talk, we solve problems, and then we laugh about all the poor suckers who go to offices out of necessity as opposed to choice. I am the new way to work, and I'd like you to join me. Start now and get 2 months free at Regis.com/radio or call 1-800-OFFICES. That's 1-800-OFFICES.
KCMO. Don't just scream at your radio. Join the conversation. Kansas City's talk station. KCMO Talk Radio 710.
KCMO Talk Radio 710.
We're back, and you're listening to Deep Talk on KCMO Talk Radio 710. I'm here talking to relationship coach Gregg Demammos, and we were just starting to talk about how to get your needs met. And Gregg, one of the first things that you said was that when you work with your clients is to have them make a list of their needs and then rate themselves. Hey, how am I doing? So I want to ask you just to kind of have our listeners get very clear if they want to practice this at home. So they first make a list of all their needs. Then what? How do they begin after that, starting the process of really getting their needs met?
Great question. I was just trying to think about that music that was on right before you were speaking. And was that music that you hear after you get your needs met, or while you're thinking about getting your needs met? I went with after.
You're beautiful. Yes.
So, I'll talk about a specific client. And this client was doing, really wonderfully in his life. He, was working on a business at the same time as he was, as he had a day job, and he got his business to the point where he could leave. And he was really just becoming more bold every day. And I was like, so what's next? You did this, and what's next? And what was next was intimacy. He wanted there to be more love in his life with his wife, and specifically more sex. Mm-hmm. So, this is a good example to work with, I think. So that's neat. And I was like, so how do you want to address it? And he came up with a number. There was a certain amount that he wanted. And I know about his relationship with his wife, and I know that that's a conversation that would be great for them and that they'd both be excited about. And so now we've got an idea of how I want to get my needs met. I want, a certain thing, a certain amount of times, let's say, or I want it to be of a certain quality. And then we look into, well, what's it going to take? The most interesting part of working on this project design with this client was that he saw right away that the key to fulfilling his needs was making his partner happy, specifically by being more interested. And I've got chills right now thinking about it, because it's beautiful. When I started working with this client, he was kind of lost in this conversation. He really didn't know what to do. He just, he said to me, I'm working with you because my life, and specifically my marriage, is becoming Groundhog's Day. Now, a couple of months later, he was so excited about being interested in his wife's life. Like, what makes her tick? What does she want to create? With her gifts, how does she want me to be with her? And that having nothing to do with the bedroom whatsoever, out of the bedroom, the happier that she was going to be, the more likely it was going to be that he would get his needs met. So we're working on that now together, and, if I could ask your listeners right now, I'd ask them, well, how do you think that's going to go? And I'd imagine that a lot of people say that's probably going to go pretty well. If he's concentrating on her, that he'll probably get more of what he wants, and it'll come from a place where it's a win-win.
I was just going to say that. I don't know if it's in our society, or just in our mindset, that it's like, it's all about me, right? It's all about the individual. But what you're saying is here that he filled his cup up literally by being interested in his wife, and by looking at how can I fill her up? But not from a place of, I'm giving too much of myself, but I totally see the connection that if I make her happy, I'm also getting my needs met. Yeah.
And it's important to look at the flip side of it too. I love what you said, it's all about me. And when we're hurt, especially in a conversation around intimacy, we can often feel hurt because we're not getting the attention of the other person. Mm-hmm. We feel that sting of rejection. And from there, if it's all about me, we're likely going to blame the other person, be angry, be upset, and try to change things from there. And that's not likely to provide a positive result. You actually are going to have to get over your feelings of hurt and understand yourself deeply and take care of yourself. You know, that question that you said before, what do I need? If you can answer that question and give that to yourself, and what you need when you're hurt is different than what you need that got you hurt. Mm-hmm. You know, perhaps you were addressing a need for sex and you got hurt, but what you need when you're hurt is different. So get that need met so that you can come back refreshed in the conversation. And then, yeah, if you can take on something that's a win-win like my client is doing, you're likely to find greater success.
That's a great example, Greg. And guys, if you want to learn more about your own relationship, mastering your needs, Greg has an 8-week program called Master Your Needs, and you can learn more by calling him at 202-505-4521 or go to his website at www.21cman, that's short for Century Man, but it's cman.com. And you're listening to Deep Talk on KCMO Talk Radio 710. You know, Greg, I'm sure, and I've experienced this, and I'm sure that most people come to you for a fix. Like, they expect you to do the work for their relationship. Now, obviously, we know that this isn't the case. The job of a coach is not to fix you, because the premise of coaching is that you're perfect, you're whole, and you're complete, and you're not broken. So there's nothing to be fixed. So honestly, you know, no matter how long you work with the coach, how intense your sessions are, the responsibility does lie with the individual. So I'm wondering, what's the trap that people fall into in their relationship that often leads them to seeking out a coach in the first place?
Well, you crafted the question really beautifully. It's that it's about them, right? That they're coming to a coach because they've made it about their partner, their boss, their business partner, their romantic partner, that it's I can't solve them, or what they're doing is, you know, doing X to me. And so they often come with that, but when you start working with a coach, there has to be a willingness to change things, like that I can do something about this. Otherwise, what a client will be doing is enrolling you in their story. So no matter what, we're in our stories to a degree. You know, there's something that looks familiar here about how I'm, in the case of needs, about how I've gotten my needs met or not gotten them met my whole life. And look, here it is happening again. There's a pattern that I have to shift. So that's why they're coming to me, because they notice there's a pattern, because they notice that they're stuck, but they notice that they have to shift it. A coach ultimately is a partner in creating something new. It's not our job to fix something.
How does that work then with your clients who are expecting you to kind of do it for them? I mean, I guess that's really where the work takes place for them then.
Well, if that's where they're at, then the first thing likely is that they need to be heard. And a big part of my coaching practice is making sure that my clients are heard first, fully, that they're understood exactly where they're at, exactly how they see the world, exactly, why they think they are where they are. And sometimes it's literally just being with them while they have their emotions and not challenging it and not saying that they should be someplace else. So it's, very often clients show up like that. And I know from, experience working with people that if you give them sufficient amount of listening, a sufficient amount of acceptance, that ultimately they will turn on their own and start talking about what they want to do about it.
I love that. Greg. So, I did a show on surrendering your ego. Actually, it was my second show that I did. And we talked about letting go of the need to control every little aspect of your relationship. Why do you think people feel the need to protect themselves and to control the relationship that they're in?
Well, this might be going back into that deep place, but that ultimately we're walking around either hurt or afraid that we will be hurt. And
wait, hold on. I want you guys to hear this. Either we're walking around like we're hurt, so we're already hurt, we're operating from that wound, or we're afraid that we're going to get hurt.
Yeah, and you can imagine what comes from there, right? We're leading life strategically from there. We're going to be a certain way so that we can avoid being hurt. And we can get pretty far from who we really are by consistently, walking into rooms and being in conversations and making choices from avoidance of pain.
Yeah.
And there's a cost to it. Obviously, if that's where you're creating your relationships from, then that's what it's about. And you're not gonna be very well skilled at getting your needs met in relationships because it may conflict with that ultimate desire to avoid being hurt.
When you're doing your work around relationships with your clients, do you work mostly with women or with men?
It's pretty even. I have this group that meets face to face called the Relationship Circle, and before I created it, I said, I really want this group to be 50-50 in terms of gender representation, and I thought that was a reach, that to find enough men that wanted to talk about relationships that we would, be able to meet at 50-50, and that's what has happened. I'm so pleased that there seems to be a growing current of men who are interested in speaking about relationships, and these men are going out into their friendships and they're bringing up their relationship conversations with their friends. And it's wonderful to see, men from the group go out with other men and support them in relationship, whether they're looking for a relationship and they want to support them in the conversations, when they're meeting people, or, talking about their marriages or relationships together. The tide is turning. Things are happening. And I know that everyone listening may not feel like that's their experience and that's who they know, but it is turning around. And so in my coaching practice, it's always been about 50-50. And I actually think I'm speaking to more men about the relationships that they're already in, married men, than I am women. I don't know if that's necessarily representative, but I just know that I'm excited about it. That's really what 21st Century Man is about, too, is about raising the game for men in relationship and having us take on conversations that we normally don't. What can I be responsible for in my relationship with my wife or significant other, so they can shine, so I can take care of myself, so we can create something extraordinary together.
I think it's not a surprise that men are getting into. I mean, I am actually a little bit surprised that more men are getting into this conversation, but I think we've now. We're evolving as a society, and we're starting to see that every single one of us has what it takes to get our needs met, not just in the relationship, but everywhere in our life. I mean, everything is relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we don't live in a vacuum. So
of course.
I think that's awesome that you're doing that relationship circle it's in D.C., right?
Correct, Washington, D.C.,
okay.
Yeah.
Guys, you're listening to Deep Talk on KCMO Talk Radio 710. You can give me a call at 913-951-1764 to set up your 30-minute coaching session, or visit my website at www.vasavikumar.com. If you want to learn to master your needs, then Gregg has an 8-week coaching program called Master Your Needs, and you could learn more about it on at his website, 21cman.com, or give him a call at 202-505-4521. Now, Gregg, I remember being told by a leader that trained me in my coaching program that anything can be solved with communication. And in your work with clients, what do you see is the biggest gap in people's communication?
This is such a great question.
I saved it for the end.
Well, the skill that most of us need to work on around communication is to share with others, especially the one that we may be upset with or that we want to work on something with. We have to share our experience with them and to have our words match the experience. So here's what I mean by that. If we're hurt, we will often speak from the defense. Our voices will raise. Do you notice that when we're hurt, often we raise our voice?
Oh yeah, I know that.
And these things are opposite. If you're hurt, you're likely to be quiet, or, more quiet. You might be crying, and that's what hurt sounds like. But we don't give people what hurt sounds like. We give people our reaction to being hurt. I shouldn't be hurt. Don't you hurt me. And then that's what we give. And that defense always brings up defense in the other person. Do you notice that when you speak from being hurt, that the other person often brings their hurt up? And from there, we're probably not going to get the empathy that we need, the opportunity to have someone be with us as we normally would. Then we're kind of hacking at each other and pushing each other further apart. So the communication skill that I work with people on the most is to be communicating authentically. If you're hurt, let's make sure the hurt actually comes out. From there, it's not to make ourselves small, and it's not strategic, but what usually happens when we communicate from our hurt or from our needs, from what we really want, is we then are enrolling. People become our team members in that. That if I say that I'm hurt to my wife, for instance, and that happened just a couple of days ago. I was it was not easy to be with Gregg. And, I was in the car and the kids were in the back, and I just realized, wait a minute, I'm consistently communicating from the reaction to the hurt. Let me just let go a little bit and just share with my wife what's going on. I've got this, strong feeling in my chest. My head hurts. I feel desperate. And I'm sorry that it's consistently going into me pushing you away. I'm sorry. And, that was one of the best nights that we've had together in a long time, because I let my guard down and I communicated from what was really going on with me.
I love that, Gregg. And I thank you so much, because I think that's often, that at the end of the day, that's all what we want to do is just to communicate authentically. Guys, if you want to learn more about Gregg and the awesome work that he does, check him out at www.21cman.com. He has an 8-week program called Master Your Needs, so give him a call to learn more about it, 202-505-4521. Gregg, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really just want to acknowledge you for taking your time on a Sunday to share all your wisdom with our listeners. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon.
Thanks, Vasavi. Exciting. And please call me. Don't worry, just go to the website. Call me direct. We'll create a relationship together.
Yes, guys. Yes, absolutely. Okay, Gregg.
Thanks, Vasavi. It was a treat.
Thank you. Guys, we're gonna go to a break. You're listening to Deep Talk on KCMO Talk Radio 710.
KCMO Talk Radio 710 with Laura Ingraham.
Do you feel this recovery? Or do you feel like the politicians are always trying to heap another stone on your back? Carry it another mile. Here's another stone. When you already feel so weighed down by everything, including the politicians.
Laura Ingraham, weekdays from 9 to 11 on KCMO Talk Radio 710.
At Quicken Loans, we close many of our home loans in 30 days or less. But if you work with someone other than Quicken Loans, you might be dealing with a lender that takes a lot longer. Here's an analogy. I ordered a pizza 4 hours ago that should have arrived in 30 minutes or less. Think of my cold, unappetizing pizza as a mortgage from a lender that doesn't care about closing loans quickly.
Here's your pizza, dude.
You should have been here a lot sooner.
Who do you think I am? Quicken Loans?
The choice is clear. A mortgage from a lender that takes forever to close your loan, or a piping hot mortgage from Quicken Loans that arrives fresh at your door in as quick as 30 days or less. One more way Quicken Loans is engineered to amaze.
The rate today on a 30-year fixed mortgage is an incredible 3.99%. APR 4.22%.
Call Quicken Loans today at 800-QUICKEN. That's 800-QUICKEN, or go to QuickenLoans.com.
Call us for cost information. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. Nationwide licensing number 3030.
Hey, it's Mike Rowe. I'm here today with Fiona. Fiona's a service advisor over at a Ford dealership, and we were just talking about, believe it or not, tire maintenance. Now, I'm sure people right now are turning up their radios, Fiona, because what a thrilling topic this is.
Boring topic.
Tire maintenance.
However important.
It is important, and you've been at a Ford dealership now for, 5 years?
That's correct.
Make tire maintenance exciting for me.
I will make tire maintenance exciting. It is important to make sure that your tread depth is checked, the correct pressure is in your tires, and you are rotating them on a regular basis.
Even more exciting is the low price tire guarantee. Plus, get a $100 rebate when you buy 4 select name brand tires at your Ford dealer. That's $100.
I got to be honest with you. I mean, tire maintenance, it does sound important, but it didn't sound exciting.
You want excitement? You want to break down on the side of the road with a blown tire?
Oh, I just got a little lecture, didn't I?
Sit up straight, Michael.
Competitors ad required for tire guarantee. $100 rebate can't be combined with other tire manufacturer rebate or offer. See participating Ford dealer or visit FordOwner.com for rebate details through 5/31/12.
To have the perfect relationship that works into my life, there has to be somebody special.
At Match.com, we want to help make it easier for you to get started in finding someone great. That's why you can now try Match.com free. That's right, get 7 days free and see who's out there for you. You can read profiles, view photos, and connect with people all free. Visit our exclusive website for this limited time offer. Go to trymatch.com. That's TRYmatch.com and get 7 days of Match free.
Match opens up incredible possibilities to meet people that you never would have met without it.
Getting on Match, it was so easy. I thought, what have I been waiting on?
This exclusive offer is for a limited time only, so visit trymatch.com now. That's TRYmatch.com. 1 in 5 relationships now begins online. Why not let yours be one of them?
First dates are more exciting than anything. I thought, why not?
And for a limited time only, Match is giving you 7 days free. Visit trymatch.com for details. That's TRYmatch.com. Join today.
Did I really retire? Did I really do this? Am I really a retired person?
This is Nadine Peterson on her first day of retirement.
I thought I would be very sad about it, but I wasn't sad at all. I know I'm classified as a senior citizen, but I don't feel like a senior citizen. Retirement is just another phase in life, okay? Most people today live to work, and it shouldn't be like that. We should work to live. And now I can live.
This is day one, the first of over 6,000 days most of us will enjoy in retirement. At Prudential, we create retirement solutions and partner with financial professionals everywhere to make sure you're ready for every one of them. Prudential, bring your challenges. Contact your financial professional today to learn more. Prudential Financial Incorporated, Newark, New Jersey.
Greg next.
Coming up this week on the show, Katie Pavlich has written a book about Operation Fast and Furious that will blow you away. And Senate candidate John Bruner joins me in studio. KCMO Morning Show with Greg Knapp.
In my mind, I'm going to Carolina.
Thank you so much, Greg, for being here. Wow. Oh, my God. What a great show. Just learning about how to master your needs and just saying what's true for you and communicating authentically. You're listening to Deep Talk on KCMO, Talk Radio 710. Next week is going to be juicy. Isn't every week juicy? I'm going to be talking to a friend and author of the book, Daughter of a Porn King. My guest, Cynthia Glickman, is here to tell you that it doesn't matter who your daddy is. It matters who you are. Now, this is for all my sister friends out there that didn't feel loved growing up by your daddy, who didn't have the healthiest of relationships with their father. It's also for my brother friends out there that maybe didn't have that male role model who they could look up to. I've been blessed. You guys heard my dad a few weeks ago. He's amazing. I also know that it's rare to have a father like mine who's there through thick and thin, whose love is truly unconditional, and who takes 100% responsibility for his stuff and what he brings into the relationship with his kids and with everyone around him. You can get a head start on reading Cynthia's book, and you could find it on Amazon. It's really not easy to remember. Actually, it's not easy to forget. It's called Daughter of a Porn King. And I just want to say to all of you, this is my 12th show, and it's been great. I've been very blessed having amazing authors on the show, speakers, coaches, and the next few weeks are going to be great. Not that these past weeks haven't been great, but we're going to have some, New York Times bestselling authors on the show, the author of Conversations with God. In 2 weeks, we have author John Gregg from Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. So you always want to tune in on Sundays at 11 on KCMO Talk Radio 710. This is Deep Talk, and I'm your host, Vasavi. It was great talking to all of you as always. Spread the word about our show. And until next week, please be kind to yourself. Thank you.